What's going on, mamas? This is Coach with No Dad, No Excuses. I believe I mentioned it in one of my posts, but I'm switching up how I do this podcast, which only got like one episode anyways. But I feel that I need to target my discussion points to you rather than to the boys, because a lot of the young men that I'm trying to reach, their mind isn't seared. They're not like locked in, but they're not gonna want to hear it from somebody they don't know, right? You probably don't really want to hear stuff from somebody you don't know, but you're more inclined because you have an adult brain to take in new information and be okay with it to some degree, to where you can relay that information which you think may be good to your son. So with that being said, I'm tailoring it towards you. I talk to them sometimes, but it's mainly for you to listen and then you to regurgitate, implement, or whatever. So once again, this is Coach. This is No Dad, No Excuses. Thank you for joining me. It's a faceless channel. No need to see my face, it doesn't matter, you know. A lot of times, forgive the road noise. I'm so busy, I get a lot of my stuff out of the way while I'm driving. So honestly, it's best for you to probably listen to me while you're driving. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a counselor, I'm none of those things. Nothing certified, right? I'm a father, I'm an uncle, I'm a son, and I've dealt with, in my profession for the job that I have, kids for about 15 years. So I have experience. And then I got my own life experience, the ups and downs, growing up as a young man. And I feel that I have something to offer, especially to the young men who may not have a solid male figure in their life. Their dad's not around, dad's in jail, maybe passed away, doesn't have an uncle, a mentor, anything like that. It's just, another point of view, so you don't have to lean on your own understanding all the time, because you may, depending on the woman you are, you might think you're dad and mom, but your mom who's trying to fill the shoes of the father and doing the best you can, which is great. But you don't have the male psyche, you don't have the male brain, so a lot of that stuff can be not warped, but skewed a little bit because you have a female brain, and that's okay. You do what you can, what you got. So I just try to offer, another voice of reason or something. And if you have any questions or any scenarios that you're going through with your son, you can reach out to No Dad, No Excuses @gmail.com. Shoot me a question, paragraph or something, and I'll respond to you, or drop something in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. I want engagement. And then you just take whatever information I give you and then decide, is this best for my son or not? It's always up to you. Final decision is up to you. So anyway, today's episode is going to be about holding your son accountable and not making excuses for him. Because a lot of these young men they're growing up to be terrible human beings. Like, seriously. And because growing up, I'm not that old. I'm only 38. Back in my day, we had dudes, they ran with gangs, they sold a little dope, they did that kind of stuff. But it was always separate from like the norm, or what we could deem as normal kids, the regular go to school kids, the nerds, But for some reason, there's been this clash and blend, and I am going to sound old, like that dang rap music, right? The kids they could be getting good grades and they still doing weird gang-like stuff or criminal activities, or they smoking or they drinking, and none of that is okay. Like, there's always a small pocket of kids who we knew was going to do wrong, or we saw that was going to do wrong, go the wrong way in the wrong path, the whole dead or jail thing. But all these kids now, man, they into this weird stuff, and not all, but a lot has to do with the moms. Yes, we can blame fathers too, but usually it's because the father's absent and the kid's being raised by the mother. But mama gotta have a life too. There's a lot of women that think like that. Now, I'm off. This is all like, we're all about the Bible here, and all are welcome. If you're not a believer, you're welcome to stay. But some things I might say may offend you, and I'm okay with that, because the word is the word. It was in the beginning. It's gonna be in the end. It's gonna continue to live even after we all gone. So if that's not your thing, you don't have to listen. But for those who stay, or who know about the word, know about Christ, this is for you. Because a lot of us say we believe, but we don't want to live that book. And it is tough at times. All fall short of the glory. But there are things in that book that can keep your son on the straight and narrow pathway. But usually by the time he's a teenager, he has his own little man brain, wannabe man brain, and you teach him, you treat him like he's a man and not a young man, and he gets locked into that, and he's off to the races doing his own thing. Especially if you chose your life, your freedom, your fun over your kids. Now, if you had, having a boyfriend, that's whatever, but if you got with somebody and you was like, yeah, it's going to be the one to marry, okay, dating is cool. But when you raising them kids, you just can't have a casual dating life. It's just not there. These kids need your attention. Now, if you're talking about you meet somebody where this dude might be the husband that's going to be the head of your household, that's going to lock in with you and be one with you in Christ, by all means, what you got to do. But if you just dating, the date, night clubbing, like, none of that helps the kids. So now the boys are raising themselves, the girls are raising themselves, and now they get jammed up with the law, they committing crime, they run around, especially since all that Kia boy stuff, man, that stuff, it kind of dampered down in the news, but these kids still stealing cars. And that leads to even more dangerous stuff and more violent stuff. And then a lot of the mamas, y'all be out here on the news crying about your baby, and the bad stuff that happened to him. But it's like, where were you 5 years ago? And it's got to be before that, because a lot of these kids is like 10, 12, acting a fool. And because they running with the 15 and 18-year-olds. But if you was there, and by you, I'm talking to the ones who know, because if it's not you, don't get offended by it. You know what I'm saying? It's not you. And even if it is you, don't get offended by it. It's just calling it what it is. Sometimes we got to put the mirror up so we can see what we got, so we can adapt and change. And if you ain't willing to do that, you've already failed your kids. My opinion, right? But that's what I see. But 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, they carrying guns now. They in stolen cars. They crashing into people, into families, into people walking across the street, minding their own business. They in high-speed chases with the cops. You think that kid gonna change? Like, you think all those kids gonna grow up, they gonna grow out of it to be a normal adult? They're literally playing Grand Theft Auto in real life. And y'all, because unless, dad's in his life and dad's some low life who had the same cycle, it is. I mean, you look up the stats if you need to. It's a large percentage, it's the single moms who get the boys acting this way, who get to live in this way, becoming this thing, right? And then y'all do teach them the wrong things. Like I taught my son, yes, you gotta defend yourself, you gotta protect yourself, you gotta protect your family, all these things, right? You don't leave your friends hanging when they, if they gotta throw down with somebody. Yeah, you gonna have to probably be in the middle of that, unless it's over something really stupid. But don't let your friends get jumped. But y'all, women are emotional. We understand that. That's fine. But a man knows when and when not. He's, not to fight, not to argue, not to fuss, not to do any of those things because it may not benefit him. It may go left quick. But, women have emotions on their sleeves. So now you got these testosterone fueled young men with their mom's emotions. Oh, and now they're carrying guns. Like I heard a story the other day where a young man, some random young guy, was smoking some weed, right? Young dude. Granted, he ain't supposed to be smoking anyways because it's not good. We got to get better at that. Don't care what the TV say. It's not good for us, people. Now, if you medicinal stuff, you want to drink brew some tea or something as an adult, yeah, cool. But in the lungs, your lungs is for air. That's it. But anyway, young man was smoking. Another young man approached him on some like, what's up type stuff and was like, hey, let me get some of that. Like, let me hit that blunt. Let me hit that smoke. And dude goes, no. So rather than going, all right, cool, whatever, bet, kid takes his gun out. You hear that? Kid takes his gun out. That shouldn't even sound, that shouldn't even be a thing. But kid takes his gun out, shoots dude in the face. For what? Now, I'm not a betting man, but I can imagine what the guy who had the gun, how he was raised. Who house did he grow up in? For you to be that emotionally triggered that somebody told you no for a cigarette or weed or whatever, that you shoot him point blank, end his life over that. Like, come on, man. There's so many other scenarios. Like, all these kids right now are doing these, what you call them? Like runovers or takeovers or whatever. And they're just all over the nation. They're just showing up to places and terrorizing communities. Now, depending on who you are, where you from, your culture, like my people, I'm black. We might say, well, them ain't our communities anyways. Okay, but do you want to be looked at in a certain manner? I mean, you shouldn't care, how people perceive you, but it should make us all feel bad when our kids is out here acting a fool and terrorizing neighborhoods. That's just fuel for them to be attacked. You know what I'm saying? Like when, 200 kids show up and then they just start busting windows out or, going to jewelry stores and, pulling countertops and all that stuff, or what are those things called? The glass cases and stuff. Like that reflects bad on all of us. Now, don't get me wrong, there's other, mixed races in there too. It looks bad on everybody. Society, as a culture, as a whole. And sometimes it's like, here I am raising my boy a certain way, and he get perceived as something he's not because of past practice. Like, the city that you live in shouldn't have to implement a early curfew for young people under the age of 18 because they can't control themselves because you, as a mother, are letting them run rampant all over the city, and you have no idea what they're up to. Why? Because mama got to have a life too. Like, how about we start bringing our sons home, our daughters home? I don't care if they don't listen. If you ain't got the means to, fine. Hey, I mean, I don't trust it because there's a lot of, stuff that happens depending on where you take them. But hey, military school, send them cats off, man. If you couldn't get your kid disciplined how you should have, would you rather have them in military school or would you rather have them in jail or prison, dead, or severely injured from getting shot? Now they got to poop out of a bag for the rest of their life and be in a wheelchair. And now mama got to have a life too, done turned into full-time caregiver. Because now your kid is drooling, can only drink out of straws, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's ridiculous. Because all it takes is just a little time. So you need to sit your kid down, especially if they're a teenager. First of all, you need to repent. You need to get your life back on track with God. And I'm not talking about you ain't got to make $1 million. You ain't got to be some kind of, all the superficial stuff. Let's lock in with the Lord first. God will open doors for you. If you out here running around, leave them men alone. If it ain't your husband, leave them men alone. Like, I'm a firm, it didn't happen for me, but I was a firm believer. Well, now that I'm an adult, no sex before marriage. I'm preaching that to my son. You, mom, go abstinent until you find your son. You can renew yourself, rejuvenate yourself. If you read the Bible, Mary Magdalene, Rahab, renew yourself so you can renew your kids before it's too late. Don't let the cycle continue. Like, you can't make excuses for these kids. Because it's either going to be we push them to become better in who God wants them to be. Or the excuses, like the judge ain't going to give them no excuse. That judge, lady judge, man judge, they going to hit that gavel, boom, life. Just like the movie. Then what? You mad at the system? Accountability is the key. Like, it might seem like you dropped the ball, but there's still time. Read your word, pray, talk to your kid about the word, try to get them to read. Can your kid even read? That's the big thing. So many of these kids can't read. They almost adults and they read like they 4 or 5. If that. Like, I've seen these videos online where a dude, an influencer or whatever you want to call him, he'll walk up to a group of young ladies, young men at a nightclub having a good old time, drinking and having a good old time, partying. And he'll say, hey, read this. And it'd be like a note card. And it just have words on there, specifically. What else? Just something I can't think off the top of my head. It's just some larger words, beyond your 4 or 5 letter words. And they struggle. Like hors d'oeuvre. They struggle. We got to do better. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, drop a comment, share it to somebody you know. I'm about to get up out of here because I got some stuff I got to do. Trying to work hard, grow a business and everything from scratch, which you should be doing too. It's time for you to read, educate, do what you got to do. This coach with No Dad, No Excuses. Hit us up. No Dad, No Excuses at gmail.com. Take care. Get in your word. Be blessed. Peace.